Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wild Moments brought to you by explore.org. It's me, Trishala. You don't get to see my face this time. And we have a very special guest with us. It is Yapi. Hi, Yapi.
Hi, Trishala. Thank you so much for the introduction. Good to be chatting with you this afternoon.
And with you. Now, I know that a lot of you, oh, well, look at that. Mindy Tillipau says, oh, wow, Yapi, haven't heard your voice in a while. Yay. So some of them know you, Yapi. But if you don't know Yapi, Yapi is a birding extraordinaire and is probably one of the most ethical guides I have ever had the pleasure of working with. So I'm so glad to have him on board with us today.
Thank you so much, Trish. I hope I can live up to that beautiful introduction.
I've been doing. We have a lot of awesome clips to get through, but before we do that, we have to ask, Yapi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I've been very busy. So I've been out of the guiding side for a little while, but it's very, very good to be back and have a look and see what's happening around Southern Africa and what all the animals are up to. Yeah, how have you been, Trish?
Nice. I have also been well. I have been Africamming, but for the most part, just in Joburg for now. For the next couple of weeks, I have a similar schedule to you at the moment, where I've got until the end of the month, and then in March I'm off again. But that's why I love doing the Africam shows because it keeps me anchored to the original purpose of why I love nature. You know, watching animal behavior, things like that.
I agree. I agree. I think, especially if you work on other sides in conservation, you often, like it sounds very, adventurous and so forth, but you often find that it's the finer things looking at wildlife, spending time with them, that you actually miss most when you get very, very busy certain moments.
Exactly, exactly. And that's why Africam definitely satisfies that part of me. So we'll go through a few hellos from everyone. Jack DeBoer says good morning from Chesapeake, Virginia. Brandy says good morning from Texas. Jen Lapp says good morning, everyone. Mindy, we know you're on board. MG Leopard Spot says good morning, all. Enjoying ice water on this dark morning. Got rain yesterday and it was delightful. Oh, we're very happy for you to get some rain. Zygote says namaste to us both. Thank you, Zygote. Namaste to you too. Now, Yapi, there's a tradition during this show that you have to share with us what you are eating or drinking to enjoy the show. Do you have anything at your side?
Today, just good old H2O. Water is always my go-to.
Nice, very healthy. You'll see that our guests on the show or our viewers, they always have the most interesting things that they accompany them on the show. I'm also just H2Oing today. Casper Sled Ghost says good morning and afternoon to Trish and Yapi and everyone. The Aardwolf was amazing to see on the cameras. Yes, we know, and that will be coming up. And you're looking forward to seeing the recap and learning more about this animal. You're ready for the ride. Dear NC says good morning from Seattle. Happy to be here with a nice hot cup of coffee. Thank you, everybody. We have had some interesting discussions while we were getting ready for the show. So, how about we hop right in? So, you are actually now looking at Twin Pan at Selinda Reserve in Botswana, and that's exactly where we're going to go to. So, let's have a look at an interaction between two very special animals and see what Kirst has hidden in that clip. Oh, there we go.
So,
This feels like an age-old battle. Both of them want the water hole.
it does. It certainly does. And like always, the hippos kind of know what's happening, and it looks like the elephant's taking it just that little bit more serious.
As they tend to.
Yes.
It looks like we have four, potentially five hippos going up against this elephant.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought it was deep.
I was also thinking that it was a little bit deeper than that. Now, my guess here is a young bull.
I think that's a good guess. I wonder, do you think that the hippos know it's a young bull and so they can carry on like this?
Potentially. I think, and especially with young bull elephants, sometimes spending a lot of time near or around certain areas while they're there. Maybe this was also not their first encounter with this particular bull. Maybe they've kind of made peace with the fact that he's just there to kind of show off a little bit and be slightly irritating.
Because from the hippo's perspective, it doesn't seem like, oh, we're just over at Oldonyo now. This is live. From the hippo's perspective, it doesn't seem like they were intimidated by that elephant bull. It just looked like they were putting up with him.
Yes, I agree. I think it was more kind of like it was almost like it looks very close. So it was almost like a curious approach that we kind of saw there. And then I saw it looks like one bigger hippo that was off to the left, potentially maybe an adult or the male. Um, so there's also the possibility that it might have been slightly younger animals, and they're
Hmm.
still kind of pushing their boundaries on both sides, the elephant as well as the hippos.
Yeah, and exactly those are important things for the development of both the hippo and the elephant to know where those boundaries are and where they can push it.
Yes, 100%. And I think also with the elephant being completely submerged there for a while, or almost completely submerged, it's possibly also so hot that they've just decided that maybe not spend too much effort. There's enough water to go around for everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, also on that point, the elephant being essentially kneeling down, it's probably not the easiest thing in the world to pick yourself up to get into this confrontation. So, uh, you had to wait until the last moment to decide, okay, I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah, and if all else failed, he had his trunk to kind of just stretch it out, kind of like a jab, maybe telling
Yeah.
the people that's far enough.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's always helpful to have a trunk. I always think that elephants, oh, this is my theory. I haven't read this anywhere, but I feel like elephants have done so well for themselves because they have the ability to walk around and run away and still be able to eat if they need to, still be able to communicate if they need to because of their trunk. Whereas other animals, they've got to stop and do those things.
Yes, no, definitely. Elephant kind of its trunk can be used. It's a kind of like a tool on the move for whatever it needs. Um, and you actually realize it once you get to or get to see an elephant that either has damage to a trunk or for whatever reason might have lost it or part of it, then you can kind of see the adaptations that that animal had to go through just to do basics like drink, or even to mud itself.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's definitely a very, very useful mobile tool on the go always.
definitely. And I'm always amazed, and I think this speaks to how critical a trunk is, but I'm always amazed at how well they can adapt to injuries on their trunk. It's like non-negotiable.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, I've seen tiny babies and adults, with missing just part of the trunk, whether it's just the tip of it, all the way up to almost full trunk, and you see that animal adapt, and you think to yourself, like, yeah, it's not easy, but they have to do it, and they do it, and they are perfectly fine, um, continuing with the herd as all the others do. There's just certain
Yeah.
things that they do a little different.
Yeah. In fact, at this waterhole that we're looking at right now at El Doño, there's an elephant that has, it's almost as if I'd say three-quarter of its trunk is sliced, so the end of the trunk just looks like it's hanging.
Oh, wow.
And it still somehow creates suction. Because, like, with a straw that has a hole in it, you can't suck up, right?
Yes.
And he still manages to get to the pipe at this water hole and still suck. It's obviously not as efficient, but he still manages to do it.
Yo, that's amazing. It's amazing. It's like, it's also, yeah, like you always, I mean, what looks to us often like severe injuries on the
Mhm.
trunk might not necessarily be as bad as we might think. But yes, they also just find that way to use it in such a manner that, maybe it still seals off on the inside, air escaping purely
Yeah,
from pressure of the muscle or whatever, which is very, very interesting.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, like I've also, I remember many years ago, it was in Zimbabwe somewhere, I'm not sure where. I think it was after they built Lake Kariba or somewhere. There was a big drought, and then there was the first big rains that came. There was a lot of a certain plant growing, and I don't know exactly what they found or regarded as the source of it, but elephants developed a disease called floppy trunk disease, which
Hmm.
affected their central nerve of the trunk. And basically, what happened is the elephants' trunks went limp. A lot of them they found it was more so amongst males than females. So it was probably, and that's why they suspected it was something that they ate. So maybe male specific. Um, but eventually they found that the areas around Kariba, the elephants there did a lot better because they were mostly older elephants. And for them, it was easier to adapt due to the fact that they could just walk into the deeper water and drink water directly. I don't know. I know there were some studies. I will have a look. I don't know the full story or the full event that happened, but yeah,
Oh,
it
that
just
is
came to
so
mind now.
interesting.
So it
That's
goes to
so
show like the
interesting.
adaptation is quick.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I have to look up that story after the show. Definitely.
Yeah, I think me
Bridget
too.
Bridget McKinney says she wishes she had a prehensile tail. Oh, don't we all, Bridget? I wish I could be a chameleon. I'd be hanging about all over the place.
100%.
Um,
If I could have anything, it would be a tail.
Somebody, JJ, asked if a hippo would bite an elephant. I I have seen interactions where an elephant would open its mouth, and in the most aggressive situation I've ever seen, open mouth and go towards an elephant, but I've never seen it bite an elephant. Have you, Yapi?
No, not that I recall, other than those some of those funny fake YouTube videos. Uh,
Those don't count, Yapi.
but no, I haven't seen any. I haven't seen hippo actually bite an elephant. And I have seen quite a few standoffs, and I have seen situations where adult elephants, especially females, get quite physical with hippos, but never the other way around. That the hippo
Yeah.
would bite an elephant.
I think the risk either way is a bit too much. So both of those species will rely on displays more than physical touching.
Yeah, agreed. I think they also two species that at the where they live and the kind of habitat that they adapted to, their inevitable meetings happen almost at a daily rate.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they've kind of set the boundaries in a way.
Yeah, like this unspoken truce somehow.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to the next clip in a moment, but before we do that, we have Dear NC that said good morning from Seattle. Did I already say that? I might have. April Owl says good morning from sunny Connecticut with your cherry iced tea. And Grumpy Old Man says, I have a waffle sandwich. I would love to see a photo of that, Grumpy Old Man. A waffle sandwich sounds amazing. And on that note, let's head over to Aldonio and have a look at another big interaction. Oh, this
Oh,
guy. I think this is the same buffalo bull that we've seen where it looks like his penis sheath is like it's cut and it's dangling. But we'd love to get your opinion on this because the last time it was me and Taylor, and then we were not PG.
now this is quite. I think there's another old one there as well.
And a jackal.
All happening here by the watering hole at night.
Yeah. At this waterhole, the elephants are very protective of the resource, I mean, and can get very irritable. So they push around a lot of the animals at the waterhole here.
I've actually noticed myself, now that you mention it, I've seen before. It's kind of like I've watched where the eland and the giraffe, they all kind of like stand off to the side, waiting
Yeah.
their turn. When the elephants go, like quickly run and get there. And I've not seen many buffalo during the daytime at this watering hole. So I do know that between these two species, both of them can be quite stubborn when it gets to
Mhm.
water.
Absolutely.
And I'm wondering here, in this particular situation, I don't know what you think. Maybe that elephant isn't as old, so there could be that these buffalo kind of realize that and just taking advantage of the elephant's age here.
I mean, it could be because this buffalo, we've seen him a couple of times and he doesn't seem to care about a thing. Nothing. I think there were lions that were coming after him and he just kind of looked at them, turned around and kept on drinking. Is this the one that's also blind in one eye, cursed?
That might also make
Yes.
sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is probably another reason yeah, why he's exhibiting this quite lax attitude. Although I have seen around watering holes where the old buffalo bulls sometimes come in. They'll chase whatever on, whether it's elephant, even rhino, giraffe, whatever.
In a way, like you said, they're both stubborn. Um, and sometimes if you just get in their way, that's enough to elicit some kind of reaction from them. You don't actually have to do anything to them.
No, they've got the harassment side all done on their side if they want.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
So that behavior we saw now, you saw when the elephant, sorry, when the buffalo turned and moved, and then the elephant turned away at the same time. We've seen that a lot at Aldonio, where it's almost as if the elephants are just hanging around to see how this harassment plays out. And then when the other animal leaves, they leave.
I find that's also sometimes maybe that's the way young elephants or certain elephants, it's lonely. Or maybe that elephant had a day where he was being pushed on the back foot by some of his compadres and made sure that now he's just going to go and irritate some of the other creatures around the watering hole.
Yeah, sometimes it's just I can't pick on the bullies, so I go pick on someone else.
Yes, and when it's done, it's done. Move away. The fun's gone. I
Um,
am. I saw that. I'm not sure whether that female sheath. I know sometimes what happens with the older buffaloes is they do occasionally uh, have issues with infection or whatever. You know, that might happen due to either a tick infestation or whatever else, like an injury,
mhm.
as they were moving through the bush. So I have noticed that it looks like there kind of was a bulge at the front there. So possibly, uh, yeah, maybe an infection or something that happened, and then from there, a growth or whatever other complications developed afterwards once it healed.
Yeah. It's
But
I
that would
mean
be
it's
my
a shame.
guess.
It's a shame we didn't get a close-up view like we did in the past. But you can actually see that the triangle is cut.
Okay.
So it doesn't seem like a growth or some kind of prolapse. It
Yeah.
looks like something ripped it, didn't rip it the whole way. But hopefully you'll do more shows and then you can get the close-up that you deserve.
Hopefully.
Uh, Tomo is asking if we think it could be curiosity. What do you think?
Um, I guess from the elephant side, in some regards, definitely. I think there's always an element of curiosity involved with elephants, especially younger elephants. But they're so intelligent that they do kind of sometimes do things for the fun of it to kind of see what might happen. Maybe they're trying to push boundaries. Maybe that elephant kind of read right from the start that this is not the type of animal that he would easily push away from this watering hole, and maybe he was just trying to kind of push the boundaries and see how grumpy the buffalo might be, or how you know what their relationship would be around the watering hole. So I think there's definitely some small element of curiosity in there. Um, that stems probably from the fact that, like we said earlier, it might have been bored or even been pushed around by another elephant,
Mhm.
to see if the tactics that didn't work on the older elephants, maybe it might work on the buffaloes.
Exactly. And I absolutely agree with you. And also given the behavior we've seen of other elephants around that water hole where they kind of do similar things, could also be that this younger bull has seen this behavior before with other elephant bulls at the water hole and is now testing it out for himself. And
Very likely, yes.
yeah, and
I
I
agree.
also love that you said he also needs to test the relationship at the waterhole between other animals. And the only way to do that is to put himself in that situation.
Yes, 100%. I think it's such a nice thing actually to be able to witness these kind of behaviors around the watering holes with the camera, where maybe when you might be going past the watering hole and you see animals there, you see a lot of elephants and buffalo, you don't often necessarily pick up those smaller behavioral details that they actually show. Where if
Yeah.
you pay attention to it, you kind of see there's like the whole situation going on there, and I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
it will continue for the
Yes.
next time those two meet as well. Um, the question is like, will the buffalo leave himself to be a sucker for the elephant's game, Or will the elephant eventually kind of learn his lesson and decide, okay, no, let's leave this guy alone?
I think in this particular case, that buffalo's not moving for anybody. He's gonna take his time. Christy says that buff is awesome. He stares this Ellie out most nights now. So they've obviously had this interaction before.
Yes, and I think that buffalo is also once it's dark. I've also noticed with buffalo they less likely to move and be deterred. It's kind of they're quite comfortable after dark, especially the older bulls.
Hmm.
And then again, if it's yeah, the poorer their eyesight is, I've also kind of wondered sometimes, like those it's almost blind, they just tend to not do or move or anything. They kind of just get pushed to one side and then do their thing and or flip out and then continue on.
Well, I'm sure their bravery increases by 50% once their eyesight is reduced by 50%, right?
100%, 100%.
Okay, let us move on to our next clip. So you are looking at the Tembe waterhole at the moment, and that's exactly where we're going for the next clip. And this is a really interesting one that me and Yapi already had a bit of a discussion about. But let's have a look at Shadow, the mongoose. We don't know what we're inconclusive on exactly which species right now. Let's go have a look at her and her pup. Oh, oh, that's so
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah, okay. That
What's your
is a
what's
very
your gut
nice
feeling?
view. Um, no, well, general size and shape. I mean, yeah, white-tailed mongoose is one of the few mongooses that you actually can mistake because of the size. Um, and then of course you can see that kind of like the arched back, quite high
Yep.
on the. I would go with white-tailed mongoose. The fact that the tails are black, I mean, it could be a melanistic form, likely, or it could be a genetic trait within this particular branch. But yeah, definitely looks like whitetail to me.
Definitely the posture is giving away white-tailed mongoose immediately to me.
Yes.
And the fact that we're seeing it at night, there are other nocturnal mongoose species, but the thing is, the size, like you said, the size is giving away white-tailed mongoose. I know someone also thought maybe it could be an Egyptian mongoose, but the shape, the shaggy, like he doesn't have the shaggy hairs, and plus Egyptian mongoose are diurnal as well. So I'm still leaning towards white-tailed mongoose.
Yeah, me too. I would agree with you, Chris. I think in this case, look at like you say, it's difficult to say for sure. And I can understand why somebody would say Egyptian mongoose. But having a look at that, yeah, especially with the two playing, you can clearly see the one's a younger one. I'd
Hmm.
say it is, or my best guess would be white-tailed mongoose. I mean, there's also there could be other explanations for it. I know there's one species we talked about earlier is Meller's mongoose,
Hmm.
which is at best described almost exactly the same as a white-tailed mongoose, just with a black tail. Um, from what I understand, it's slightly shorter on the legs, but I don't know if it's something that one would be able to see, necessarily unless you have the two next to each other.
Yeah.
Um, one thing with that is distribution range and actual stats on how many's left. I don't think it's something that, in recent years have really been verified and a full extent of their distribution would be found. Um, so I would say white-tailed mongoose. I remember reading as well that in the past, some of the older people, especially, um, the ethologists that did initial studies on mongoose, they reckon that in some areas white-tailed mongoose were found. Those populations just tend to have more blacktails. Um, and from what I understand, this one's also been seeing foraging with other white-tailed mongooses, right?
Yeah.
So yes, in that case, I mean, yeah, my best guess would be white-tailed mongoose. I know that female white-tailed mongoose sometimes, even though it's a solitary species, they do sometimes move with other females to forage at nighttime. And I've also witnessed that on open strips within the bushveld, especially amongst Mopani or denser areas. So that's a likelihood as well.
Yeah. I came across a paper from 1972 that described yeah, this is how far back we're talking, that described a black-tailed, white-tailed mongoose, or black-tailed, white-tailed mongoose populations, particularly in West Africa. And
Oh,
they even had their own species name at the time for this
okay,
group of white-tailed mongoose that were, wait, they called it Herpestes lowempo, but then go on to say that it wouldn't call it a separate variety because the only difference is the color of the tail, and it seems to be a purely individual variation. So the variation obviously existed enough for people to initially think that there could be some species difference.
yes, you. Well, that's quite interesting. And that's what if I recall correctly, like that's also I know that there were mention of certain populations specifically where it had these um, black tails. Now I'm wondering, I can't remember where exactly it was. Maybe it was that same population.
Maybe in West
Yeah.
Africa. And then I also did a bit of research because obviously now this pup also has a black tail when we know that leucism or melanism is generally a recessive trait. Otherwise, whole populations would become black or mel or leucistic, right? But
Yes.
there seems to be a way in which that can still happen, but not and be carried on a dominant allele, but not run through a population. However, I did not have enough time to condense all these different proteins into something succinct that people could understand, but it does have to do with a specific gene or a specific allele that's called or gene called the MC1R gene and its gain of function, which
Hmm.
it essentially means that that particular gene that's going to create the melanism or create the pigment just doesn't stop. So
Okay.
it continues to create the pigment, but it's different to having a recessive gene for melanism.
That is extremely interesting.
It is, and I hope that I'll be able to condense that information better next time.
That is very interesting. Potentially, maybe linked to a survival strategy, potentially for, I don't know, camouflage or something like that. I recall something like a situation somewhere during the Industrial Revolution of moths that
Oh,
tend
yes.
to turn black due to all the soot on the nearby trees and things like that, where that gene actually became, the dominant gene and moved on. Like the whole population became black in order to camouflage better.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
exactly.
So, yeah.
Very interesting stuff. Um, anyway, well, we are out of time, but we do have one last clip. So first, I'll let you know that Grumpy Old Man says he thinks that Mellors has a fluffier tail. I think it does have a fluffier tail. Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen a Mellors mongoose. Have you ever seen one, Yapi?
I don't know. I believe I have, but
That's such a guide answer.
but no full on confirmation. So I'll just keep that one to myself and believe that I have.
Hmm. I was in Brazil recently and I saw a track of a jaguar. And I'm sure it was a melanistic jaguar, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah,
Well, that's the
that's
thing.
the
Yeah,
truth. That's the truth to me.
exactly.
All right, guys, let us head into our last clip, and then we will say goodbye. So let's head over to the Kalahari, to the Makadi Kadi salt pans by Jack's Camp, and have a look at what you've all been waiting for. Cute little aardwolf.
Oh, amazing.
So lovely. Look at you.
That's something I can say I haven't seen before, an aardwolf drinking water.
They are notorious for not needing to do so.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, oh, this is so, so nice. I feel so I haven't seen an Aardwolf and I oh no, I have seen an Aardwolf. What am I talking about? I'm still waiting for a striped hyena. Then I'll be happy.
That's also one I haven't seen yet. Striped hyena. I have seen Aardwolf. Lately, I've seen quite a few actually, day
Well,
and nighttime.
I saw my first Aardwolf at Mabula.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been lucky in the past that I've seen a few previously, but lately at Mabula I've seen quite a few. During daytime sometimes, and they seem to be quite used to vehicles, which is quite nice. You can actually inspect them for a little while and see how what they do and how they go about their business.
Yeah, I haven't seen one in the day. So this is amazing.
Yes, this is. And it's such it's difficult to see now on the camera here, but they actually they're so small that when you do get to see them, you like your first assumption or your first thought is what is that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at you lifting up your tail as you're moving through.
Yeah.
I mean, I see this in all Hyena Day, but when they're marking areas, it's not just the tail, but they arch their whole back as if they're pushing, you know?
Yes, no. And they've got such a funny little walk when they do that, and they just seem to go in the direction they were going to go in any case.
Sweet. What a lovely, lovely clip to end our time together with. Thank you all for joining us. Yapi, it has been a pleasure to have you on board. I hope that we will see you again.
Thank you, Trish. The pleasure's all mine.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I really hope to be joining you in the future again. Yeah,
Oh,
that was an exciting afternoon.
definitely. And we had so much fun. So,
Yes,
thank you everybody for your questions and your comments. I hope that you enjoyed seeing wildlife instead of our faces. It was a bit different for me, but I think I like it. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and thank you for joining us. Goodbye for now.
thank you, everybody. Goodbye.